There we go. Good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to, in fact, the best day of the week here at High Top Sports. We got a jam-packed one for you, as we always do. Be sure to smash the like button and subscribe. On the way to 26,000 subs. Mean a lot if you help us get there. If you haven't checked it out, sometimes you guys watch it every week, but you don't hit the button. Hit the button. Let's get after it. Of course, we got Swolder here with us, and then a special guest, Mr. Will Mizell, Aiden Mizell, one of our favorites here on the show. He was the young man, the wide receiver that came out with double Gators. Iconic moment in Florida history when committing. It gets played from time to time, as it should, because it was an incredible moment. Top 25 rankings came out. Florida, higher than you think. Lower than I think. No, I think it's a good little spot for him. We'll talk DT depth. How is that defensive line looking with the new addition from Baylor? Then a five-star offensive lineman liking what he's seeing at Florida. We're going to talk about it, boys and girls. Without further ado, Mr. David Swolder joins us. Big dog, how you feeling, man? Good to see you, Bubba.
Man, I'll tell you what, man. I had one heck of a weekend. I'm very, very pumped, especially here, as I call it, Friday in the middle of the week. It's really Wednesday, but it is the best day of the week. But Shelton, man, I saw that interview that you had with Cam Jackson, you and Steve, man. Y'all did really, really well with that interview, and I like the fact that he had a good choice in trucks with the Hellcat and everything else like that. So, I mean, if I had a budget like that, I'd probably buy something else of that nature because I'm a little bit older. I probably don't want to wind up in a ditch, but hey, we're not in Athens. We're here on High Top. It's Wednesday. Baby, let's get it. Let's go.
I love it. Yeah, man, the interview with Cam Jackson was incredible. It was a cool moment for us. It was our first interview with a active NFL player, recently drafted. That was a cool moment, full circle moment for us, especially since we had him on when he transferred from Memphis. So a lot of great stuff there. $2 from Kenny Stevenson. High Top boys. Stay hot. Absolutely, boys. 117 strong. You know what to do. Smash the like button, subscribe. We're also live on Twitter for the third show in a row. Hope you guys are enjoying that content on X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it. Without further ado, though, ladies and gentlemen, let's bring in our special guest for the evening, Mr. Will Mizell, the speed man himself, the decathlon man, as we learned before the show.
What's up, Gator Nation?
What's going on, man? Good to see you, man. Appreciate you coming on, man. We're pumped for this.
Yeah, man. I'm glad y'all had me on. Love y'all, fellas.
Yes, sir. Thank you, man. It was cool. I remember the first time we met, you came up to me at the spring game, and you're like, hey, man, how's it going? I was like, what did I do? You're like, hey, man, it means that I think I had the fat head. I was like, hey, you want this fat head of your son? He's like, I know what he looks like. I'm good. I love that fat head.
That was awesome, man. But, yeah, I appreciate y'all having me on. It's always good to talk to y'all. It's always good to see y'all's content. It's always good stuff. All love.
Appreciate it, man. Absolutely,
man. Real quick, I want to give a shout-out to your gear that you've got on here because we were in all of it, and I know people are going to be in the chat about a good hoodie. It's common. So look, played at Florida, they'll love this. Talk to him.
Yeah, man. So my guy Jimmy Hackley, he's a 400-meter All-American, multi-time 400-meter All-American. Ran when we ran at Florida. He's got apparel. He's got gear galore. So if you go to jimmy.hack, it's JIMI.HACK. Take a look. It's beautiful stuff, real high-level stuff. You won't get it anywhere else. I mean, obviously, like y'all probably never seen it. So
that's why I like stuff that pops and stands out and it's different. And it's like, as soon as you hopped on, I was like, what's up?
What's going on?
what we got? We'll keep me informed here. Keep me informed. I gotta stay fresh. Gotta keep them up on their toes.
I was looking at the hoodies, the hats. I was like, man, what else does this guy got?
Yeah, he's got some real fresh stuff. Yeah, man.
He's got some great gear. Well, man, like I said, we appreciate you having on. Obviously, we're pumped for Aiden headed into his junior year. Look, I think one thing that, I don't know if you see it, maybe you do see it, Aiden's got a huge fan base on this channel, and we want more Aiden playing on that football field. I'm sure you do too.
You are correct.
How are we feeling, man, about Aiden headed into this year in this football team from your perspective, from Pops talking with him and hearing some things?
Man, to tell you the truth, I always say guarded optimism. It is collegiate sports. These are still young men, but these are massively talented young men. And across the board now, the thing that I love about Florida, from the line having depth and talent, the D-line having depth and talent, our running back room, our quarterbacks, all of our receivers, the linebackers, the secondary, there's a massive amount of talent there, and it's not just a thin little shallow pool. It's a deep pool of talent, And that's what it takes to succeed in the SEC, man. And we got speed, baby. We got some nasty speed. So I'm excited. I'm very excited.
And I mean, obviously you've been there for the last 3 years. I mean, you're from Florida, so you've been around for some long time. But in regards to your investment to it, and I think what's cool is the progression over the last 3 spring games. What was your big takeaway from this last one comparably to the other ones?
Absolutely. There's a flow, a better sense of continuity as far as they don't look kind of staccato, right? I don't know if that's
Sure,
the right term. My vocabulary sometimes goes left, but
I like it.
that's what they didn't really have the act together. No offense to the coaching staff, but at this point, there was a purpose. Like you could see a flow
Mm.
to what was on, and they were moving the ball. There was a little more fluidity, right? They just seemed like they had their act together, and it looked good. It looked like a real team. It looked like we're ready to pull some triggers and run up them scores. You know what I'm saying? Give me some 60, 70 pointers again. You know?
Yeah, man. I
Cohesion
miss
was the big
we
takeaway. Go
we
ahead, Dave.
we miss those in the swamp, man. Of course, obviously, there's an athletic background in your family. Your wife did track. You're a decathlete. Aiden, I'm assuming, did something like that. We were talking about the show. He did the 400 meter before, or he said he ran a 100 meter untrained. Like he didn't even train for it and ran like a 10 600 meter, which is insane. Like that's insane for not to train to that. Um, what kind of values and lessons have you taught Aiden from maybe just your athletic background, your wife's athletic background, and all of that coming into the University of Florida?
The primary thing with our boys, both of them, and my daughter. I got 3 kids. One's at Arizona. What's up? What's up, Isaiah? And my daughter Charlie. The work. The work isn't something we choose to do. We have to do. I've always told my boys and my girl both, like, hey, you're one of maybe 1,000 people that can do what you're going to be capable of doing, but what's going to separate you from that top 1% of those 1,000, right? And that's what ends up making somebody a lot of money down the line, right? If that's where you're trying to go and that's what you're trying to do, and we've seen it. I've been around SEC champions, Olympic champions. I've been around guys that go to the NFL. I've seen all of that. And the cumulative constant is always the work. Not that you're not afraid to put in the work, but you're not afraid to do the extra because, ordinary and extraordinary is just the extra. That's what makes the difference. So for them, it's always been they're not afraid to grind. They're tough. They're mentally tough, but they're also physically tough and can take the work. Yeah, man.
I could speak to that too because like part of look, I think like you said and I mentioned before, we want to see Aiden play. And he's played, he's had his moments, but there's been times where it's like, why can't we see him some more? And some guys would probably get irritated, get frustrated, especially nowadays. It's like, hey, things aren't going the way that I think they should go. I'm out of here.
Yeah,
And like you just irritated to or related to that, hey, the goal is to stick to it, to grind it out. It may not always be exactly how you want it to be. That doesn't mean we walk away from the situation. Is that what's really kept Aiden just focused and understanding this process and buying into this and being patient on what's to come?
Absolutely. I think a lot of people will, especially coming up into high school, you're very special. You're in this upper echelon, and you get
Yeah.
told a lot
Yeah.
special, which because there's a lot of
yeah,
special people, and that's what I tell them is, you're going to separate yourself not just by your capabilities on the field, but also your mentality. That will be what is the marker as far as for your greatness. It isn't just going to be, well, I can run 24 miles an hour. Or I can do this. I can do that better than the next guy. It's like, okay, but there's other guys that can do that. How are you going to separate yourself? You got to be tough. You got to be mentally tough. You got to be smart. You got to have that intelligence, that game IQ, which is sky high. And I think that's the thing that ultimately it's like, hey, I've told these cats before, like, all you need is a couple plays. All you need is a couple shakes where you get in space and beautiful things will happen. And you saw that like the Mississippi State game. There were some other times where like he was almost like, man, another like 6 inches to a foot of space, and he's gonna show y'all he can actually turn him over and really run. Y'all haven't seen him really run yet. That's the scary part.
yeah.
I know what this man's capable of. He's a 20-year-old man now. He was like a 17-year-old boy when he was
Damn.
actually, you know what I'm saying? Like,
It's crazy
Yeah.
when you say that because he look when coming out of high school he had this kind of young baby face and just over the last 3 years, he's a young man now. He's
Oh man,
yeah, he's listen. It's like, hey, Pops, hey, watch that tone, boy.
He's starting to grow.
Hey, I still got it.
I still, I
Yeah,
still
yeah,
got it.
yeah. No, it's awesome watching him grow up, man, and I'm pumped. And look, it's kind of like what you were alluding to of that big moment, like to really, we know he has it, and a lot of us already know. And I'm gonna read this super chat here from Brendan because he loves your son, as we all do. But it's like that Odell moment, right? The big catch. It's like we all knew Odell had it, was a star, but it was like the catch. Once the catch happened, it was like, okay, let's just keep slinging it to him. It's weird how those things work, but that's sometimes what it takes. And again, that big
Sometimes
moment in Mississippi State being called back, it puts a little tarnish on people's eyes for whatever reason, but he still did it. But
Yeah.
it's just like you
Still
said,
made
6 inches, it's gonna hit. It's gonna happen this year, man. I think with, like you said, the line that they're gonna have time, they're gonna read the progressions. You saw a little bit of it open up. I think the play calling is gonna be great, and the cohesion we saw in spring, I think, is only gonna amplify as we move on. But Brendan, $50 super chat. Brendan, this man,
okay.
yeah, this man, he writes novels about your son in the comments section about why he should be playing. Like this guy breaks it down. He loves Mizell. Thinks when we were playing,
He's a big fan, man.
Yeah, we play the college football. He's like in the comments, put Aiden in. Put Aiden in. We have the ability to do that. Just want you to know, you have more patience than I do, Papa Mizell. Your boy is a star, and I'm straight sick of him being kept in the shadows with limited reps. Star. So
Tell him, Brandon. Tell him. Let him know,
Hey,
man.
I am too, man. I'm a big guy. Like I love special teams. I'm just like, why don't they just let Mizell return the ball if they're not going to put him on the field? He's got the speed. Just let him do it.
Yeah. No comment.
Yeah, yeah. Well, what was funny is I remember that Mississippi State game when the play got called back. I remember commenting. You made a comment and you made that like little disapproval gif. I remember that from so long ago, but I was just like you knew he did it anyway. So I mean, like you still have it in your mind, but man, you would love for like there to not be a stupid yellow flag. I don't even think that was even a penalty back there, but it doesn't even matter, man. At the end of the
Man,
day, like he's talented
Hang
enough,
on.
and we know he's going to get on the field at some point.
oh, my bad, fellas. I was just
Yeah, it
saying
cuts off when we're talking. Go ahead.
wasn't like they wasn't trying to tackle him. You know what I'm saying? Like he's it wasn't like oh, I saw that penalty, I'm gonna go ahead and let off. Like
Yeah, it was
it
funny
is
before the show. I was saying, yeah, he broke like 5 tackles, and you were like, no, it was 7. I counted it.
7.
That's
Look,
it.
so talking to you, man, obviously you have, I don't want to call them frustrations. It's like we were talking before the show, like as a dad, like you have anticipations and wants for your son. And I told you, I said, look, like I can be pretty chill and collected, but if you come after my son, you may not be coming after him, but if I have a hint that it has a negative connotation, I'm ready to blow your head off. Like I don't even blink. Sometimes wife's like, what was that? Like, don't come after my kid. Like that's just what it is. Is there been times where I feel like, again, we all have our frustrations of like, hey, why aren't we getting more Aiden? How has Aiden been dealing with it? He's been pretty level headed. Does he carry more of the wife's coolness on this?
yes. Thank you. His temperament and his speed come from his mama, which means that everything's cool. Yes. Yeah. So yeah, he sees a big picture. I think he understands his abilities, obviously far superior to everybody else as far as his capacity to understand what his abilities are, and he's just waiting for his time. That's it. He's putting in the work, just like everybody else out there that's hustling and really grinding. But he just understands. Okay, I need a couple shots, a couple of throws in space, and he'll shine. He'll make it work.
I I love hearing that too. Just kind of seeing the bigger picture. I think that, and I hate saying this generation because that was always the thing that irritated me when people talked about me growing up with this generation. But it's generational. It's just because of the circumstances that they're brought up in. So I'm not trying to say it in a negative way, but the expectation is, and I see it with my little brothers now, is everybody wants it now. Everybody wants to be doing something right away to be noticed. And I get it. You want as much reps and much starting time as you can so you can go on to the next level. But there's also a point of like, you really just need 1 year to do it right. And
Absolutely.
if you take the proper steps to be there and you can shine at the right moment, it works. The ultimate goal of making it is all that really matters. How we get there is what we get frustrated with. And I think that's shows his maturity of understanding that, like, I know we all want to get to the NFL. I'm confident in the steps that we are making, although there might be times where I like to maybe play a little more, but the path they have us on and where we're going, I feel more confident on getting there. And look, I think the fact that we've put 3 wide receivers in the last 3 years shows that the development, the process, the progress is definitely there. I'm pumped for Aiden as well. Now, look, we get him 2 more years, technically, right? Like, technically he can leave after this one, but we don't want him to do that, right?
I think Dad
if he
said,
goes
yeah,
out there, we're gonna have to have a year. I'm gonna be like this. Please don't go. Please.
yeah. Dad said NFL, and the fans are just like, no, please stay another year.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. That whole they have a embarrassment of riches over there. They really do. Even the guys that maybe y'all don't know about, the preferred walk-ons, they have some freaky athletes over there, man. They have speed literally across the board. Obviously, Aiden's kind of that, that top shelf guy. Him and Tank really have that kind of locked up. But across the board, they're just massively talented. From the guys they brought in from Wilson and Vernell Brown's kid. Shout out to VB3, great guy. Dad did a great job raising him. I don't know Nashawn that well. Never really spoke to the young man, but those 3, along with the Mr. Sturdivant who came in, I met Mr. Sturdivant, like Dad, great guy. So obviously his son's probably falls in line with that temperament. And then just the walk-ons that are there, those guys, man, some of those guys are, man, I'm wondering why they aren't on the field, but I get it. There's all these other guys, waiting in line to get their rep. And it's going to be hard. It's going to be a good problem to have. Who are we getting the ball to, and how are we distributing that pigskin around the game when we have all these guys that can make it happen, which is going to be a great problem to have,
Yeah. Yeah, I was just gonna say, yeah. I mean, because Napier was even emphasized, like he even emphasized the walk-ons and recruiting good walk-ons. And now with the 85 scholarship limit, you have to cut some of those guys now because of the revenue sharing. So it's like, now you got to keep the best of the best walk-ons on the field, plus obviously all your scholarship players, and obviously Aiden came to the University of Florida. There's a legacy there between you and the wife and everything else like that. But um, he obviously visited other schools as well. What was some of the key factors that led him to commit to Florida? I mean, and obviously I know that there's a legacy, like I said, but what was the other key factors? Yeah,
Outside of that.
He had a really tight relationship, like most of these guys do, with the guy that was recruiting him, Coach Colbert or Carey. Coach Carey, he's Colbert. He's in, I think he's still in Denver. Shout out to Coach Colbert, awesome guy. But he had, he got a call up, right? He got a better opportunity, so he had to go. But Coach Napier, if you ever get to speak to the man, he's not a car salesman. He's not faking it. He believes in what he's doing. Obviously, that culture, I think that's his biggest strength, is his morality and his character have built a really wide foundation. You got a wide foundation if you want to go way up, right? Or it gets kind of wobbly. And I think he's been extremely patient with all the external stuff that's probably, gets launched at him on a daily basis. And I really believe he's going to start seeing results. He's going to start seeing returns on those investments from the last 2 years, hopefully, are going to really pay off big for him. I hope, because I really like the guy. You won't really meet anybody that has bad words to say about Coach Napier because he has that character.
Just the play calling they get mad about, Will. Never about play.
I'm not a football coach, so I'm over like the rest of y'all, like, throw number 11 the ball. Come on. Like,
yeah, that's what's funny, man. Like you'll have a lot of players that will join schools and they get upset because either they're not starting right away, they hit the portal. I mean, there are other reasons that kids hit the portal, and they're good reasons. But you get a lot of them that are just like they're either in it for the money or they're just not starting, and you rarely get the athlete that will just put their head down, work hard, and just block out all the noise of like, okay, well, you're not starting now, or block out the noise of what people are saying on them on the internet. I mean, there's a lot of factors that go into being a student athlete. You really do have to be mentally tough through the whole process. And from what it seems, and obviously Aiden's still here, and he's never gotten in trouble. Nothing's really ever happened that he's complained about. He hasn't put his name in the transfer portal. There's been nothing that I've even heard. And when you don't hear anything about an athlete and they're just playing the sport, that's a good thing.
Absolutely. No, he's singularly focused on one goal, and that is honestly to get to the NFL.
Yep.
And doing everything under the sun that he's told to do. And if you hear him get interviewed, you were at one of those interviews, Dave, where he was like,
Yep.
when about his weight, he was like, I eat what they tell me to, I lift when they tell me to. I don't even know what they're trying to get me to. I just do what they tell me to do. That's him with school. That's him with training. That's him with rehab. That's him with the whole scope of it. This guy's in charge. He's telling me what to do. I'm going to do it. I'm going to make it happen. Because he does have that a big foundation of his abilities are going to get him where he needs to be. It's just hustling and grinding and making it happen.
Man,
There's
that's a hell of a trait.
There's also a respect factor there too, and he seems to have that as well. So that's a really good thing, especially for somebody young his age to have.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of put the fear of God in him when he was younger. Probably not as much as I needed to, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, he gets it like, hey, this is the guy in charge. If I'm gonna leave, then I'm gonna leave. But if I'm here, I'm gonna buy in, and that buy-in is what makes it work. I've coached athletes for a long time, and the ones that buy in and just even if you're not dialing them in 100%, maybe get them to 90%. Even those athletes, as long as they're mentally bought in, they usually exceed expectations when it comes to the finished product.
I want to talk to you a little bit because you talked about talking with a few of the players and their fathers. I've got a kind of a question on that, but Stephen Harris from Champs Corner says, "Major love, Pop Mizell, $2 from him." Love your avatar there. Then Rob Little says $20. Says Will, what's up?
That's my guy. I ran track with him.
Rob Little.
Yeah. Rob Little, I know. It was Lee Little and Rob Little. They both came from Kentucky. Yeah, they ran when I ran.
That's wild.
Yep.
That's
well, Rob,
cool.
thank you for the support, the super chat as well.
Yeah, man. Thank you. Look,
Gator Nation, man. Gator Nation is real deep.
Oh, it's spring game, and then we go to these games. You just see it, man. How powerful it is. It's awesome. I mean, it's allowed us to do this consistently and be able to meet great people, talk to great people like yourselves. And speaking to that, we've been blessed to be able to interview so many great players, so many great some parents as well. And look, man, I keep saying it, and then you kind of just alluded to it even more. You open up the avenues even more of like you talking to these players and to their fathers. Like there's just the type of personnel they go after, the mindset that they focus on. Sometimes we'll see guys like, oh, we want this guy because they've got the stars behind them. But Billy seems to be really kind of adamant of like, if you're not going to fit this mold and have a tick, I don't really care how many stars you got behind your name. I don't care how many all conferences you come in. We're playing for the logo, this very nice hoodie logo before anything else. And if you don't see that, you can step on and get on. Is that what we're seeing here from your side on a more personal level?
I believe so. And you can kind of tell with the parents, like for the most part, like I haven't, I don't walk around in politic with all the parents, sure. But across the ones that I've had contact with, the moms and the dads, there's just a mentality there. There's a morality there. There's you can just tell they're good people. Like, when I met you, Shelton, I was like, I know this cat's good people. I can just tell he's relaxed, he's calm. He ain't trying to put on, he ain't trying to be nothing he ain't. He's being himself. And that's ultimately, I think, you kind of feel that when you meet somebody and then you meet their kids and you're like, oh, that's where they get it from. And then, you a parent, you raise a kid, you try to do right, you try to act right around them.
Yeah.
So they act when you ain't around. And I see that. I think that's the overriding thing when it comes to Napier's foundation. Like I said, is he's trying to get the right people in the building. Obviously, he wants some dogs, and you gotta have the tools. You can't just be nice out there and make it happen. It ain't gonna happen like that. But there is an overriding factor there. I think that they're trying to find the right individual with the right skill set, and that will expound upon itself because you get enough of those cats around each other, and it gets dangerous real quick.
It's Moneyball in a different asset.
Exactly.
I think you can learn a lot from doing that too as well. I mean, like a lot of the best teams in college football are both cohesive as a unit, as a team. They're all on the same page, and a lot of people don't understand that. It's like, yeah, you need the talent. Obviously, there's a talent factor there, but you also need the cohesion. You also need the training. You also need the full package with it as well. And I think that goes a long way. And you saw that. I mean, like, look, I know a lot of people. We talk about Nick Saban a lot before he had retired. I mean, he had that program running like a machine. I mean, he was getting the best players and all that too. But I mean, you saw a few. There was a few players that got in trouble, but it wasn't a lot. Usually, most of the players there were pretty level headed. They knew what they were supposed to be doing. Napier's kind of doing the same thing, and he actually was coaching for Nick Saban. And he even talks about in some of his, I guess, some of the coaching clinics that he puts on around the country during the offseason. He talks about his time with Nick Saban and what he learned from him. So he was really a sponge, and he really learned from a lot of these coaches that he was underneath, and he's kind of implemented that in the University of Florida. So it's really cool to see, especially, and Dan Mullen was here and he never really implemented any of that stuff. So as fans, we were just like, man, what's going on? Like this whole program's falling apart. Obviously, he was a good offensive play caller, but other than that, you didn't really have that much out of Dan Mullen. I'm sorry. And look, that's just what I see as a fan. But as Napier came in, he's completely changed the culture at the University of Florida.
Yeah, I see it happen a lot, even on a high school level, but at a collegiate level, especially with these cats getting money like they are, it becomes a really slippery slope of, like, Shelton was saying, you snatching stars, but are you getting the characteristics that go along with those stars, right? You see it at, like, Texas A&M. They've really been having a hard go of it. They got all the money in the world. They got that oil money out there, and I know they're slinging it everywhere, but what's sticking at the university there, the product just isn't as good, right? It's not on the field. And I think it's indicative of anything, right? If you're not hustling and understanding what it takes to actually make it work, then it's just going to be you're going to be on a carousel for a while until you start to figure it out. And you're going to be wasting a lot of money too.
Ohio State embodied that last year. I mean, you see how many guys went into the NFL, not only or the draft this year, but not into it, but also how high they went. And the fact that they lost 2 games the way that they did, and obviously ultimately ended up turning that thing on us because all of a sudden just cohesion just clicked. And it's like this was the team that was always there. They were just missing that piece because the talent wise, they're by far better than anybody else. So yeah, that's the sweet spot. And again, I think Texas, in a way, we're going to talk about it later on in the show, but their talent carried them a very long way, and it lacked a little cohesion, which that's been their biggest thing because you said they can recruit their tails off. They're top 3 class the last 3 years. The talent will carry you a very far way. With a 12-team playoff going through this gauntlet, same reason why this Gator basketball team was able to stay hot was the cohesion, was what the culture that the Todd father put together. So these things that we're seeing built, it's going to pay off in the long run. And that's the big picture, right? It's not flashy. It's not sexy. It's hard to see that. But yeah, it's fun to watch. And speaking of, you said your kids are see everything, man. If you want to grow up and mature, have a kid. That parent, and I do something stupid and he just regurgitate it back. I was like, oh shit. And he goes, oh shit. I'm like, oh, I can't do that anymore. I'm boring now, man. I can't do anything fun. He just says it right back to me. I'm like,
there you go. I always say thank God for your mama, because if you turned out like me, it'd be bad news, man. You too good looking and you're too athletic. I'd have lost my mind if I had your opportunities, man.
I look at him. I'm like, man. I tell her, I said, I'm glad because she's uncoordinated at some things. She's athletic, but she's uncoordinated. And I was like, he's got a swagger and a coordination. I'll take a little bit of credit there, but he's so cool and collected. He's handsome as ever. I was like, you didn't get that from me. He's got her hair, a little bit of my eyes. I was like, you got the perfect little bit of everything. I was like, if I give him just a little bit of personality, but he's got your like, I don't care. Yeah, that's sweet spot. I'm like, I'm probably gonna be pissed later on. I'm like, I'm tired of your ass, man. You look good.
Hey man, raise some golden retrievers, man. They're just like kids almost when you get them as puppies, man.
Yeah, you are.
That's true. Well, Will, man, give us some closing things that maybe you want to get off your chest that we didn't ask, and then obviously if you wanted to follow you on the bird to keep up with you, I don't know if you want that, but if you do, tell them where they can follow you.
I mean, ain't nothing exciting on them, man. It's I'm a dad, so it's my kids. I ain't got nothing, ain't nothing life altering going on my ex.
He doesn't even have a profile picture.
I was like, it's an avatar. You think it's fake?
Yeah. I'll man, I was born in the '70s, so I'm slow on the trigger with
Yeah,
some of that stuff.
that was the funniest thing when like you first followed me and I think you reached out to me or I reached out to you. I can't remember what happened, but I was just like, is this really him? Because I don't know if it is or not.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I think my only points of frustration with Gator Nation is the fact that, and I understand it because we went so long being so good, is that there's those up and downs, and from the backside looking at everything and understanding like some of those moving parts, it's very hard to make everything click all at once, and it ain't. It's like turning around a cruise ship, man. Like this one cat said this football here a while back. It's like you can't just hit the brakes, throw the anchor, and spin it around, man. It's gonna take a little time, but I guarantee you, this is the most talented team I have seen since for a while, as far
I
as
agree.
from top to the depth, the speed. Um, Shout out to Pup Howard. You broke my heart when you went to South Carolina, but you came on back. Love you to death, bro. He was my guy. That was one of them guys that I saw him leave. I was like, oh God, not Pup, but he came back. So I think that linebacker core, the defensive line, the secondary, and then obviously everybody on the offensive side of the ball. The running backs are so deep now. Even our quarterback room, Aiden Warner's he's a bad man. Y'all haven't seen his full capacity either. I can't speak for Mr. Bailey because I haven't checked him out, but that's a Winter Park boy, and he can play.
He can
His
sling it,
quarterback,
as we've heard.
he can. His quarterback
Spin it.
coaches, y'all talked to his quarterback coach. Trujillo actually worked with Aiden when he was itty bitty because he was going to be a quarterback. And sorry, Balin, we had to get outside and move our feet a little more. But
Are
he
we going to
always,
see like a trick pass play from Aiden Mizell sometime?
yeah, he can. He's got an arm. I ain't gonna lie. He can sling that ball for sure. But Trujillo always said, he's like, if he makes it to the NFL, bro, that's a check mark. I'll train that cat.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, gotta claim it. Hey, you gotta claim it. It happens. So
I gave him sweet feet. I gave him his sweet feet. Feet in the pocket, baby. Feet in the pocket. I taught him those. I taught him that.
Yeah, sure.
I get a check mark too, then, right? I mean, I think we were his first podcast. We get a check mark.
Absolutely, you get a check mark. Y'all boys are golden in my book. And then big up to Dave. Nobody knows this, but this cat sent me a heads up. Aiden hurt his foot at
Yep.
Mississippi State, and this cat just sent me a pic and was like, "Hey, just letting you know. I don't know if you knew, but he's got a boot on. I don't know if everything's cool or not, but I just want to let you know." From a dad's perspective, that's big because this cat wasn't trying to get at me, wasn't trying to get like an inside track or nothing. He was just like, "Hey, your kid, he's hurt. I don't know if you know." And he just left it at that, and that's big for me, man. These are the cats y'all are dealing with out here on the internet. These cats are solid. They're good people. So and that's why I'm on this thing because I ain't trusting everybody.
I appreciate it, man. Hey,
Man.
that means a lot. That means a lot, man. I appreciate it.
Make Dave cry on Wednesday. Well, you can't be doing that. No, man. Look, I think we've learned. I mean, this industry. Have you've been in it in your own light? It can be a little grueling and nasty at times. And the best thing is to continue to stay keel and be yourself. And people are gonna try to bite at it, and other people are gonna attract to it. And you just hang on to the ones that attract to it. And eventually, ones that bite, realize that hey, we're candy. We're sweet. You can let go now. It's okay. I loved your turning the cruise ship analogy around. That's fired me up because I think that's a hard thing for people to digest.
I stole that one. That was from Homeboy. It was like first year. Yeah.
I still liked
but
it.
That's straight on, man. Like you can't just turn it around and like it ain't turning the light off and switching it back on, man. Like things got to happen. It's gonna take some time.
They're not gonna like that, but I try to preach that and I get hit with the Disney Gator. But it is what it is. I think there's people you can relate to this given the fact you're an athlete. You're also a father. I know it sounds cheesy, but it's true. The process is the fun part. The journey is like, I know you hear it, but I'm dead serious. Like for somebody who's done Ironmans, who's done things like, I missed the training. The race, I don't even remember. It goes by so quick. It was hell. Like it was miserable. The cool part is like you these small W's in the training and thinking about celebrating with your family. Like those are your most like aha moments. Like obviously doing it is great, but I think it was Devontae Smith or AJ Brown for the wide receivers. He's like, this is boring. Like we won. Like I'm ready to get back after it. Like everybody thinks it's about being on the cloud and going to the White House and nah, man, it's the grind. That's where you meet your brothers, your most people that you love the most. Like winning the championship in basketball, like, it makes it sweeter when you go through a little bit of a rut. Embrace the suck. I enjoy this. Like, it sucks. Don't get it twisted, but just kind of take it for what it is, baby. Take the lickings.
That's the whole point, man. You got to put in the work, and that's like I said, man. And I've told my boys that, man. It's the journey, man. Y'all trying to get someplace, and then y'all gonna look back and be like, "Damn, that's why I had fun." Because and that's why you enjoy it. If there ain't no struggle, like the win is hollow. You know what I'm saying? So, and those cats get it. All these cats that come in early, they get it. Like I'm gonna have to grind. I'm gonna have to put in my work. Nothing's promised because ain't nothing promised. You're just gonna have to go in there and prove that you that guy. And it takes work.
Another cheesy analogy for the boys. It's like if you're going on A1A. It's like going down A1A to get to your destination. Takes a little bit longer, but the views, the places you can stop and eat at, incredible. We all take I-95 now. We're there in 15 minutes. It's great. I get it. But sometimes you got to take A1A. Sometimes you got to slow it down a little bit and appreciate it.
I spent time down in Dade County, so yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Okay. There you go. Another analogy you can add to the bank.
Yeah, and that's the last thing I want to add to that. That's why I like having players on, former players on, their parents. We have the best thing going right now with High Top Stephen Harris because we get to learn a lot from him because he played the game, and we've gotten to meet some of his family and stuff like that too. And I think that's the coolest thing about it is you learn a lot more from the players, the parents, and former players, and you appreciate it more when you watch the team you go out and play. Whether they win or lose, you appreciate them a lot more because you've learned a lot more about them. And then you're able to respect them a lot more.
Oh yeah. It is. It adds some depth to what you're seeing, right? And I forgot. Hey, shout out to K-Jack too. He's on the come up. He's coming back. So I'm him to come back. That cat's a freaky athlete. I hope he's 100% come June so he can grind and make things happen because that cat is a special talent as well.
I love it. Well, Will, man, I appreciate you. This has been awesome. Thank you for the insight.
Yeah.
Love to have you back on during the season. Once Aiden goes for 210 catches and a couple tutties, we'll have to have you on for one of those for sure.
Yeah, man. I might be a little inebriated, but I'm sure I'll be
even better. You and me both. We'll do it together. We'll call in on the call-in show and we'll take shots together. All right?
Yeah, I'll take them with you.
Wait, okay, we'll cut the wild ones. We'll cut it loose. The wise can handle us later. We'll make it. The dad.
I might be talking like this the whole time, but hey.
Well, do you golf?
Hell no, man.
Damn.
I ain't never done. I don't.
I bet you'd be fine out there though. You decathlon. What's 11 sports? We'll give you an octagon. That's 8, but whatever. You know what I meant.
And I never did it, man. I'm country, so it's like. That just ain't my thing.
Yeah, but you jumped, you threw a spear, you threw a disc, you threw a ball. I think we could figure it out. I think you'd be just fine.
I mean, yeah. I'm if you need me to get out there and try,
we would be a hoot on the golf course. I'm just telling you. I mean, we would have a hell of a time.
Oh, there'll be some cussing. I know that.
I said we would have a hell of a time. Okay, it would be a blast.
You give Will some objects, he could do something with it.
That's what I'm saying. Look, maybe you could throw it.
I got a bum shoulder. That's from the javelin.
I appreciate you, man. Thank you, man. Go Gators.
Absolute pleasure.
Yes, sir.
Go Gators, man.
Go Gators.
Chomp, chomp, ladies and gentlemen. Will Mizell, what an interview.
That was great. That was great. I loved it.
That was awesome. Shout out to Dave for setting that up, and then shout out to Will, obviously, for coming on and hanging out with us, man. Absolute pleasure to have him on. Treat class act. Great interview. A lot of insight.
Yeah.
It's cool. It's a different kind of angle we've taken the last 2 weeks speaking with the parents. And again, shout out to Dave for even having that idea to do that because, you typically we want the kids and all these things, but these parents, they go through it too, and they see it from a different light, a different perspective, and they also have, look, he played the game. He's an athlete. He understands the grind. So great stuff. Awesome stuff.
Yeah. That's the thing. It's like just the things the parents have to go through. Like they're worried about their kids getting hurt every game, class work. What are people saying about them on the internet? Most people just ignore that. But, there's a different factor to the parent side of sports. And I've noticed that just meeting some of these parents. And I said, well, probably need to get some of these parents on and we can interview them too. Like that was kind of my purpose in doing that was because you start to appreciate the game a lot more when you know the ins and outs of it. And a lot of people don't get to see it. So I figure, hey, let's bring it to High Top. Let's let everybody know.
Doing it different, boys. Doing it different. Shout out to Dave. Let's get after it, boys. Let's talk about some more things here. We've got this. This is cool. Look, I mean, I put on the caption, flirting or the real deal. We don't know right now, but I like seeing this. Somebody commented and said, does Florida have a chance? It was on Felix Ojo, 5-star offensive tackle. Shout out to our Discord for popping it in there for us to see this. I love the Discord. We're able to get great conversations happening there, pissing contests happening there. It's a fun time. But those guys are all over it. People are constantly just kind of monitoring and watching the situation. So we're able to keep up with things throughout it. But Felix Ojo, he's got a lot of visits set up. Obviously, we'll probably get, as it gets closer towards the end of May. And I know when we had Corey Bender, they talked about Felix, like he's got a lot of visits set up that they're going to move some things around to have him on, I think, in the next couple of weeks. And so anyways, this person says, hey, does Florida have a chance? He goes, yes. And then they follow up. Corey Broach says, what makes you like Florida so much? The coaches, stadium, atmosphere, school, Lagway? That feels like a chat GPT question. But he says, my connection with Lagway and the atmosphere. Love that response. I think the Lagway was a huge one. And again, when you're a tackle, what do you want to play for? I want to play for a quarterback that's going to make us look good. That's going to, get the ball off quickly. And I would say that running back room, right? You got just a talented room behind you. It's something exciting to block for. I want to go to war for this guy. And Lagway embodies what we were just talking with Will about. Just that mindset, just the logo first. So, look, we've always felt that Lagway is our biggest tool when it comes to recruiting. I think we saw that close out last year's class. There was obviously some concerns of whether or not Napier would be there. And look, I think we've got to. Some of us had to eat some crap here when Strickland came out with that letter to basically reconfirm that Napier wasn't going anywhere. That got a lot of smoke. Yeah. Look, I think I was part of that too. I'm not here to, but I think we have to make sure we keep ourselves accountable and in check of like, look, at the time it seemed nuts. And sometimes as fans, we're a little short-sighted and ultimately ended up being, I think, a very big power move because obviously half the class ended. But yeah, I'm excited to see, man. I think there's a lot of great buzz with offensive linemen right now. DeCoster seems to be just grinding away at it. Anytime you hear about it, and even Bender when he's been on the show a couple of times, DeCoster has been the name that has been ringing true. And we've talked about this. We love Rob Sale and his development. Recruiting has never really been his thing. I mean, and that's okay. It's not everybody's thing. And so I think they made the proper move so it could happen. But DeCoster seems to love it, enjoy it, and has embraced it, and is doing wonders for the Florida Gators. And look, I saw another update. We talked about this on Monday night with Steve. There was 3 at the time on Monday. There was 3 NFL or 3 of our players projected to go first round in the NFL. I saw an update where there's 4. 2 of those being Jake Slaughter and Austin Barber. And I said Austin Barber during the show. I said, look, I think if he has a monster year, which he looks primed to have a fantastic year, he could climb up because left tackle is, I mean, that's the bread and butter right there.
Yep.
And so if you are an offensive lineman, you got to look at that. Now, these guys grinded. They put in their time. They put in their effort. They're both going into their senior year. Like, it takes time to develop, but that's where Florida has done a great job. And they were preaching the two offensive lineman treatment. They just added 2 more assistants. If they send both those guys to the NFL and those guys halfway through the season are looking like All-Americans once again, look out. I think this recruiting can heat up like a son of a gun.
Yeah, I mean, you've already had Slaughter with his accolades, and then you had Osiris Torrance that you put in the NFL, and he went really, really high as well and never gave up a sack his whole career in college. And obviously, you talk about the Lagway factor. I mean, everybody knows what he did in high school, the awards that he won, the accolades, and everything else. But these kids, they go on this visit, and they see how Lagway carries himself and how he, pumps the team up and how everybody, obviously they play for themselves, but he's kind of the leader of that team, being the main quarterback, obviously. But they see a lot of that stuff, and, I know our offensive line recruiting hasn't been the best at a star level. I'm not saying on a development level, but on a star level. Now, kids are starting to see like some of these 5-star kids, some of these 4-star kids that are taking the visits in June. A lot of them have announced already when they have like the big grill in the bill and everything else like that. They're starting to see, where Florida, where Lagway, I mean, the season was dead. I mean, almost. And then Lagway comes in, and I don't like to blame him for the Georgia game because he got hurt mid-game, but like, he went on a 6-0 tear, like right as he came in. And then the kids are seeing that and they're like, oh, wow, he stepped up and he saved this season. And there's just a lot of factors to that. And then when they actually meet him in person and see how he carries himself and everything else, I mean, that goes a long way, especially with the coaches and everything else, because the coaches can tell you whatever. They can say, oh, this is a great school, this is a great program, blah, 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 but they got to see it. And when they come to campus, they see it. They see the personality of just Lagway, the other players, and obviously you put some of them in the league as well, especially with if these mock drafts go the way that they are. Yeah, the University of Florida is going to get a lot of looks.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I think, look, I mean, just everything is heading in the right direction. There's a ton of buzz, a ton of momentum. And we're going to talk more, too, because the rankings for the coaches came out. We'll talk about that later in the show. But real quick, Dalton McFuckus.
Don't fall for it.
$5 says, Vonnie and Ojo will be Gators just as sure as Dave will slam a Jaeger bomb this Friday. Love you guys. Go Gators.
There we go.
I can't remember his first. It's Vonnie something. This Steve Harris and I chatted about him for a few minutes the other day. This young man, he thought he was a transfer. He saw his clip and he's like, this kid's coming in to play now. And I had to let Steve Harris know this kid's going into his senior year. This kid is a dog. I would not be surprised if he's a 5-star by the end of this thing. I mean, the way that he looks as a junior is mouth dropping. I mean, these kids nowadays, though, it's going to be hard for these recruiting sites because the development is just getting further in their career where they're starting at a younger age. So these guys are getting sharper and faster, which is great for the game because when you go watch college football, I love college football. It's my favorite. But NFL is sharp. It's fast. Like there's a difference. Because every spot is just premier. I believe college, especially at the higher level, is getting closer and closer to that because just the talent is just naturally rising like the cream does to the top. So should be good stuff there.
Yeah, Vonnie, he is right now he's rated as like a top 50 guy on 24/7 Sports, but like 139 overall. But this is still the beginning of the cycle, man. And like I know who you're talking about. I think it's Vonnie Cleveland. He's got really good film. I've watched it, and this guy's get up and go. The way that his size and just speed that he has is just ridiculous. Like it's one of those guys that you look at, and it reminds you of those defensive lines that we had back in like 2012. Those types of guys that were there. Like you see that, and you see a lot of that in Vonnie Cleveland when you watch some of that film. And like if he commits to Florida, I'm going to start telling a little bit of lies about this D-line recruiting, like when it picks up. But of course, he's got to stick. He's got to sign. I'm not too bought in at the beginning because I know at the beginning of the cycle, a lot of things can happen. It's the NIL day and age of NIL now. But when it starts getting to November, December, man, like that's when the eyes are going to be on this recruiting class. And I think, and hopefully Vonnie Cleveland will be in this class. He is from Alabama. Alabama's probably going to be heavily involved in that because he's a hometown kid. But yeah, man, if Florida is able to land this kid, man, that'd be a good feather in the cap.
He wants to be part of that Chapman lineage going to the pros. Real quick before we dive into our next segment here, the show is, of course, brought to you by FOCO. And right now we're running a little special deal with FOCO with the overalls. The overalls that you've seen me wear on the show a handful of times. You saw Dave wear them at the spring game. You saw a handful of you guys wearing them at the spring game. Now FOCO loved it so much they want to give away a free pair. Well, how do you get into the raffle? Very easy. Check out FOCO. Use the link in the description and use the code HIGHTOPSPORTS when purchasing anything. And when I say anything, I mean anything. Anything from $2 to $100. Get you an entry in to win to a chance to win the overalls. Now, once you purchase those, all you got to do is shoot me an email at hightopsports2, the number 2 at gmail.com with the subject line Gator Overalls with the receipt of your purchase, and you will be submitted in there. And like this video. I mean, I can't tell if you like it or not, but just like it for good old sake. Again, use the code HIGHTOPSPORTS at FOCO. And look, just for anything, go check them out. A lot of great stuff they are dropping as of late, and we're pumped to be powered with them and hope to be powered with them through the entire season as well going into next year. Well, shout out again to FOCO. Let's talk about this top 25 list here, man. I was trying to put my own together, but I don't know, man. It gets a little wild. But I was like, I'll just use Andy's and pick his apart. It seems more fun. But the big thing that I obviously got a lot of people talking was Florida at number 10. And man, look, we just talked about it. The depth in on all the right areas is the reason why Florida's sitting right here. The fact that DJ Lagway has shown up on multiple people's top 10 for quarterbacks heading into next year is as a reason. Dallas Wilson, Will Mizell, Jaden Ball, Jacoby Jackson. The list goes on of why Florida sits into this top list, and I honestly don't feel like it's too high. There's a team that I like ahead of them. I love South Carolina next year. I think Lenore Sully did a lot of great things last year. I think that defense does a lot of fantastic things. So I think we got a little bit of a nudge there. And look, I'm trying to be humble about the situation. I don't like to put these guys in front of us, but I like South Carolina a lot. I think they bring a lot back, and I think they made a lot of great strides. And look, this South Carolina team over the last couple of years has done some great things. Like Florida, they've had some gauntlets of schedules. and they've lost some close ones. They've lost ones they should have won. And if they win those games, they're in a much different seat than they are now. Auburn is, as once again, as usual, per quota, highly overrated. Highly overrated. I've been beating this drum for the last 3 years, and they continue to put them up there. I don't know what it is anymore. I've quit caring. Throw them up there. Whatever. I like LSU well above them, so I'd move LSU farther up. The big shakeup for me, if I could do the top 5 over, I would. It would be Penn State, Clemson, then Notre Dame, then Texas. Reason being, I think Penn State is what Michigan and Ohio State was last year. They lose their 2 best guys in Tyler Warren and Abdul Carter, but they are bringing back some great talent. They go and get the best defensive coordinator in the country from Ohio State. They did all the right things in the offseason, and I feel like they are poised to have a great year this year. Love them at number 1. Clemson, same thing. Really found their stride at the end. They bring back Caleb Klubnik, who is projected to be a top 10 draft pick next year. Really found his rhythm. Looks like the Clemson of old. Didn't lose anybody. Had a healthier recruiting class. Liked them a lot. Notre Dame. Love what Marcus Freeman is doing out there. I think that man is just building just a gritty football team. And I think they did some great things in the portal to put them up there. The reason I have Texas so low is the same reason why, and this is a hot take I can't take full credit for, that Arch Manning hasn't been on high on too many people's list. And you got to wonder, the question, the hot take that my buddy brought up, again, I don't want to take credit, is why hasn't he been that high? Well, if again, people kind of like to give DJ Lagway crap, but that guy came in and played in the fire. Went 6-0 when he was healthy. As the starter, as the guy. Quinn came in and started a few games Arch came in a few times, but never really took over, and nor was he utilized or packaged towards the end of the year. And we just saw where Quinn Ewers went in the NFL draft, and that's not necessarily a jab at Quinn, just simply the fact of he went 7th round. So you're telling me a 7th round draft pick is that much better than Arch? Now, you may argue, well, then Sarkisian was just hard-headed, and that could be factually true too. We haven't seen enough out of Arch to know if that he can just take these reins and run with them. I think Texas has recruited well over the last couple of years, and I think that's why they want Texas up there, because the talent will carry this Texas team. It carried them last year. But when you're matched up talent via talent and coaching, that's where Texas has failed the last couple of years. They've got the oil money. They can, again, make up for the lackness in other areas because of how talented they are. But that's why I put them back there. And I think Ohio State's can be similar in a similar boat. And I also would put Georgia in front of Alabama. I've rambled too much, but what after that, you can kind of throw a lot of teams around. A team that that should be up there that's not is Syracuse. Syracuse is, I am pumped for Fran Brown. They are doing some wonders in the transfer portal. They've recruited well. Those guys are a team to watch. I like them top 20 over Miami. And I know you guys, I think I'm trolling. I'm genuinely not. I think they have done more, lost less, and have a better foundation than what Miami has shown me in this offseason. I'll let you get in after it, Dave. But
yeah, screw Miami. But yeah, like the Arch Manning thing, like I think a lot of the reason why a lot of people have doubts on Arch Manning, and I'll go ahead on my tangent a little bit too. It's like, obviously he has the last name. He didn't really compete in any camps when he was in high school because he knew the last name would carry him to that 5-star lineage. I mean, of course, he's had good tutelage from obviously his father and everything else like that. He didn't really even play in a grade conference when he was in high school either. I think it was like 2A or something like that. I can't remember off the top of my head. But when you see him come in, like he's done things, and like they were talking. I think JD Pickle was talking about like the spring game that he was in, and I was like, yeah, he's throwing dudes wide open. Like any quarterback can do that. Like, but you got to give him a little bit of credit. At least the passes were accurate; they were on time. And look, I may eat my own words. Arch may be the best thing since Peyton Manning. I have no clue, but I just think it's too much too soon for the Arch Manning hype. Like he has to do something on the field. Like if he were to come in last year and he were to just light it up, like when he was in the game, kind of like what Austin Simmons did to Georgia when he just came in and just drove it down the field, drove it right down their throat. I would probably be like, okay, yeah, maybe he might do something this year, but I haven't seen it. I haven't seen anything like that. But I will say Ole Miss, like I know they're at 19. They did lose a lot, and I don't think they did that great in the portal. Yeah. I do believe a lot in Austin Simmons because I think he's just a really, really good pure passer. I was upset when we lost him to Ole Miss, but that's sometimes how recruiting goes. But I think Ole Miss will be a little bit better than that 19 just based on quarterback play. We'll have to see. Miami at 20, their offensive line is still going to be pretty good. I
Yeah.
think that they did do pretty well at corner in the portal. They got some really top corners out of the portal. We'll see what happens with AJ Hossey and some of that. But I think their defense will be slightly improved. I have to see how they finish in the portal to really just kind of nab it. But I think that there's still some holes back there. We haven't really seen the defense come along. I think the offense takes a little bit of a step back too, just because that is not Cam Ward throwing the football. That is Carson Beck.
Yeah.
I still think they're going to be pretty good in the ACC. I think they could go second. I agree with you with Clemson. I think Clemson will win the ACC this year just based on what they got coming back and everything else. Florida at 10, I'm okay with that because I mean it's better sitting unranked. I think the destiny is there, man. You start at 10. If you were able to start at 10, you just have to win games. Like you can lose 2 or 3, still be in that top 10, top 5, still go to a playoff, especially if you make it to the SEC championship and win. I like what you said about South Carolina too with Sellers. I think that that LSU game upset me for them just because if I was a South Carolina fan, I would just be like that penalty that they took, that would have been the
Yeah.
game winning sinker right there, man. That hurt a lot. Auburn, like you said, yeah, I agree with Auburn. We'll have to see how the new quarterback does. There's a lot of questions there. So they did do well in recruiting. They had a couple of close top 5 classes. I think they hit like 7 or 6 in a couple of their classes as well. We'll see how they develop. Uh, Georgia, I'm sure that they recruit talent year in and
Yeah.
year out. They have top 3 classes, so I don't think that they're going to have any issue with defense or anything. I'll have to see what the Stockton, the quarterback, does on that side of the football. He looked decent at times. He still didn't look polished, but of course he's never been a starter. He did. I mean, if you look at his high school stats, they're ridiculous. So I'll have to give Georgia a little bit of credit on Stockton and see what he does in college. Alabama, um, we'll have to see with that quarterback situation there too. Oregon, I agree with that. Um, but it's pretty spot on. I mean, like Tennessee, the quarterback situation. I don't know if Aguilar is
Yeah,
going to
I'm
be all
50.
that a bag of potato chips.
That one's a weird one because
Yeah,
look, even though we kind of say like, oh, they're gonna fall off, it wasn't like Nico blew anybody's socks off last year, but he gave the team spark, and I don't know if Joey Aguilar is gonna do that, and they lose out on James Pearson and Dylan Sampson, arguably their 2 best players. So I think they
yeah,
take those are gonna be bigger blows to harder to replace. Again, nothing against Nico, I think he did great things, but it wasn't like again the reason he left. It wasn't like that offense was centered around him slinging the football. So you bring in Joey Aguilar with a guy with some experience, maybe he fits the mold a little bit better for them, and they're able to do what they did. But what made them good was great defensive line, right, and the ability to run the football. Like that was their identity last year, and I don't think they get away from that. Nebraska, I love Nebraska being good. I think Dylan Raiola, people love to make fun and have fun with him. I like seeing him, so
I'm
he's
really
great to
curious
see.
to see what he does there
Yeah,
like next
I'm
year.
excited. I
Yeah,
love it. It's one of those young kids that came out with DJ, I believe, right?
yeah.
Yeah. So cool to see him going into this year as well. But yeah, like, I'm big on Syracuse and Miami. Miami, look, I think they still have some talent, like you said, on the trenches. But Carson Beck's question mark on how he's going to fit in the kick and sling it though. We know that. So we'll see how it plays out. But he is no Cam Ward. But great list, and I think it's
I
where
will
you
say I'll add one more thing too.
yeah
I think Louisville do a little bit better than 24. Not much better, but I think they could. I also LSU has done really, really, really well in the
I
portal. They
think
may not.
LSU shoot much higher. Yeah.
Yeah, they made it. They may not be done either because there's a competition between Miami and Holsey right
Yeah,
now
they shoot
between
much higher.
them and LSU. So I
They did
think
some great
they
things.
should be bumped up at least to the top 10 just based on what they did in the portal. But it is Brian Kelly. So
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think Illinois might be a little overrated, but I know they got Luke Altmaier coming back. And look, I think we talked about it last year, man. Usually I don't care about these rankings, but there is a little bit of weight where you can start. And
yeah,
if you're starting closer to the top, it's weird, but they don't drop you down as easily. I know that sounds kind of dumb, but we saw it last year. And so if you're kind of on the edge and you're kind of jumping towards the end of the season, they take that into
yeah,
consideration versus if you have to climb into it, it's like they're kind of a little more reserved pumping you up there. Now, logo, your conference carries some weight. So if an SEC team gets hot, but like again, Vandy go on a 4-0 win streak, they're going to be reserved on popping them in the top 15. That's just how it is because it's Vandy. So you got to take
yeah.
those things into consideration.
Same thing with Florida. Like if Florida was in the top 5 or top 10 last year and they lost the games that they lost, but then they beat the top 10 Ole Miss and then they beat top 25 LSU, they would have somewhat probably been ranked in the 20s. But since they started out the way that they did, they started out unranked. They never even made it out of there.
Florida logos carries weight, right? So that's part of
Yeah,
how that runs.
logo holds weight, man.
Boys and girls, smash the like button and subscribe. Let's move on to our next little bit of conversation here. The D-line depth chart feels like we should be closed in on that. So I wanted to talk about it a little bit tonight to kind of get a picture of how this D-line is going to look, man. And when you start looking at it, we're like, oh, we need more guys. And man, it's got a lot of upside, a lot of potential that I'm really excited about. So this was kind of my projected depth chart on what I feel. And there's some guys obviously that I think can crack it, and we'll see. But obviously we'll go across the starting five essentially, or starting four. And this seems probably be the easiest one. You got at that Jack or F position, obviously Tyreek Sapp. Then you bring in Jamari Lyons. We'll get back to this one because this DT position, just because of the injury, might slow some things down a little bit. But he sounds like he's making great progress. And remind you, he was fighting for this spot last year, so this isn't as much of a drop off as we may think. Then Caleb Banks, obviously not Cam Banks, Caleb Banks at that DE or that nose guard position. Obviously, we know what he's able to do and how great he looked being projected a first rounder going into next year. Then George Gums coming off the edge. I think we were all excited for that. I think a lot of people were concerned about the DT, but again, we had Deontay Robinson. Now he's gone. I'm not as concerned when you look at it like this with Jamari Lyons, if he is what's expected. And we talked a lot about this, even with Keith Niebuhr, of like, look, there are guys out there, but we feel confident in who we have. I think Jamari Lyons is a big piece to that. But then we go back to let's start with DT, right? You got Jamari Lyons. DeAndre Robinson leads, but you bring in Brendan Bett, who we've talked about, who I'm very excited about. So that second spot is kind of open. I like Michael Biora early on because he's been in the system. He's got more reps. He played just like DeAndre did last year, made some progress. Really excited about him. The kid from Texas that, let me see if his name's on here, that we got. It's not on here. Man, he's a freshman. Steve said he's heard some great things about him. We didn't see him in the spring game. Micah Fasa, I believe is his name. He's coming in.
Fasa. Oh,
yeah.
It's like Fauci. It's Fausi, however you say it.
That's another one to keep an eye on as well. Again, it kind of plays in that middle defensive line. But then you go over to the defensive end. You got Caleb Banks, Brian Taylor, who we heard kind of was a little bit of a factor of the Deontay Robinson situation because of how much progress he made. Don't forget, this kid was the number one JUCO transfer last year, going into his senior year. Ton of experience behind him, great size. Love what he's going to be able to do next year. And then behind these guys is where you've really got to get fired up. So when you look behind them, you're looking at Jalen Wiggins. And you could, or excuse me, sorry, not Jalen Wiggins. He's on the edge. Tavarius Brown. Tavarius Brown was that like 6'9" monster who we added last year. Kind of carries the body type of like a George Gums and a Kofi, just physical, big nature. And we've been hearing a lot of great things about him. And that's going into the third string, Dave. That's how deep this line goes. When you hear that name, that excites you. Then you talk about Stephon Shivers, that big body, 399, essentially that big Dez with a little more physicality, a little more hand movement. You've seen the effort they've been putting into him because they know, hey, if we get this guy up to full form, we can plug him in there like we did with Big Dez.
We were in a dogfight with Georgia for that guy too.
So that we're going third deep, and then Jeremiah McLeod is another one, true freshman coming in. And again, the Micah Fessick is another one. So when you look, I know 3 of those guys are reliant on freshmen, but sometimes we get carried away of like, hey, they can't play. I know they don't carry the stars, but they carry the size, and if you train them right and you can develop them and use them the right way, and I think Chapman in this line has shown that, hey, we know where we're going to be able to develop these guys. I like it. DJ says T. Brown's my underdog. Tavarius Brown, I think, is going to be the guy, and alongside Kofi, these are guys that have the attributes that look the part and probably just didn't have the development leading up in this part of their career. And something that Florida has done a great job on is taking these guys and putting them in the right position to be successful. George Gums could make himself some money this year, and that's a guy that was playing tight end just 2 years ago. You know what I mean?
That's insane. Yeah, I mean, like when you look across the board, I know a lot of people are saying, "Oh, well, these are second, third string guys." I mean, but look who's in front of them. You got your sack leader, Tyreek Sapp, who had 7 sacks last year. I know I said 8 the week before. I guess PFF counts an extra sack for some reason. I don't know, but it's technically 7 sacks if you go to any other website. And then you had Jamari Lyons. I was super bummed when he got injured last year. I was super bummed because I thought he was going to be a big contributor to that team because he had improved so much, and I was so excited for him. Hopefully the injury isn't as bad as we think it is. Usually a lot of these kids, especially when they're young, they recover really well. So hopefully that is the the ACL things and all that kind of stuff. It's give or take. You never know how they're going to recover. Obviously, Banks, for already projected first round, we know what he can do. Same thing with George Gums. Brandon Bett is a guy that came over from Baylor. Is an interesting guy. I've looked at some of his film. I think that there was, obviously when Robinson had left, there was a void to fill, and I think they filled that void very, very well with Brandon Bett. I'd
Yeah.
love to see what potential that he has, but and then getting Jaden Woods. I mean, he was supposed to be a Penn State guy. We were able to get him from Penn State, with that battle. And you hear a lot of things about him. It's like, look, there's just so much talent on this D line in the first strings, and a lot of guys that are projected to go first round next year. So I don't even care what is behind them because I know just how good just that starting lineup there is, and like all those people right there, all have the potential to go to first round. Brandon Bett, obviously, he's a younger guy, but like all those people have the potential to go to first round up there if they have a good
Joseph
year.
Mabachu. We weren't even close with Micah Fast. It's Joseph Mabachu. Sorry, guys, on the name there. But yes, that's the young man from Texas that I'm referring to. But yeah, let's go to the edge group too. Tyreek Sapp, George Gums. We know what we got with those guys. Cameron James is somebody who I love. I said it last year. I said it when we lost Pyburn and the other young man, I can't think of his name right now, wasn't concerned. Elgin McCray has to have a big year, right? This is a 5-star guy. So he's got to step up into that role. But then behind him, you have Jalen Wiggins and Jaden Woods, two guys that Stephen Harris caught his eye through some of the spring clips. They've caught everyone else's eyes. These guys have really came into this role and have approached it like true professionals. And then Kofi Asari, the transfer kid, kind of like George Gums Jr., little mini, I don't say mini
Gums.
lightly. But yeah, it's kind of the same kind of, fact there of just had the physical attributes, looked the part, need some development. So the depth's there. I know they're just names right now, but there is we have some weak things we can build off with some of these names. Again, Brandon Bett coming from Baylor. We talked about in previous shows that Baylor was super excited about what he was going to be able to do. We know Micah Bora had a lot of playing time last year. We know that Jamari Lyons was fighting for those spots with two guys that just went to the NFL. Those two guys being Big Dez and Cam Jackson. So Big Dez signed with the Lions. But yeah, and Joseph Mabachu is making some big things. So I apologize on that. Thank you for the $2, Steve, for letting me know. And then Philip Colbert says Gators by 1 million. This defense is elite as the offense will be. I see a deep run in the playoffs.
Yeah, I do too.
I love it, Philip.
On paper, look, I know we kind of did this last year a little bit, but it looks a hell of a lot better than last year. But you still got to do it. You still got to get out there on the field and do it. A lot of talk, a lot of the first round talk and all this other kind of stuff. You still got to go out there and do it. We saw what happened week 1. Can't let that happen again. But I am excited because you get Long Island University. You get a little warm up matchup there. We'll probably see some of the backups, hopefully, at the end of the game. Hopefully, we see the backups a lot because we're blowing teams out, because that's something we haven't done in a while. But hopefully, we're not seeing the backups because we're getting blown out. But yeah, I mean, you get to warm up with them. USF, I wouldn't look past USF because they do have some talent. They got a really good head coach over there as well. And when you really get in the nitty gritty, though, you're going to have LSU and Miami back to back. So the boys better be ready after those 2 games.
Agreed. I'm glad that we get the little warm up. I think it's going to be a big one there. Let's talk about our last topic here before we rock and roll. Great show this evening.
Yeah.
Appreciate you guys for joining us. Shout out again to Will Mizell for hanging out with us and chit-chatting it up a little bit. A lot of great information we've had thus far on this beautiful Wednesday afternoon. And we're in the middle of a kind of a lull period, but we like to make sure we keep it rocking and rolling here, and I'm glad that we have so far. So USA Today dropped a little list, and look, lists fire me up. I love them, and I just listen. That's my quarterback. That's my coach, and I could talk with my coach. I can criticize my coach. You're not allowed to criticize my coach. That's not your job. That's my job. And they dropped their list here, and look. They're subjective. I get it, but 15th?
Yeah.
There's 16 coaches, by the way, boys. 15th. You got Sam Pittman in front of him. I couldn't believe it. Hugh Freeze. I don't get it. This Auburn shit's gonna make me blow a load. I can't. I don't understand it week in and week out how they continue to be. Listen, I'm hot. All right, so things slip. They just. I don't get it. I just refuse to understand. It's the same thing that happened in basketball. They wanted it to continue to just suck on their big toe, and they got the ass whooped. So it's a list. It doesn't really matter. I wasn't a huge fan of it. Brent Venables, the guy looked lost his first year in the SEC. I know our guy, Hall of Fame's going to be upset. Mark Stoops, look, I think he's done some great things. He had our number. We had his number. Kind of a little back and forth there. I just feel like the Kentucky aura has slipped a bit. So Mike Elko, look, I think he came in, made a big splash. So I'm not okay.
Yeah.
I'm not okay with it. Shane Beamer. I like that. I like that pick. Eli, I'm okay with that as well too. I think he's done some great things there. So look, there's coaches in front of him. But there's about four of them, I feel like. Clark Lee at Vanderbilt. I know they had some big wins last year. But man, the way that you were into that recruiting season, in that season, what you got
Who's
coming
behind
back?
him?
There's only one. It's
Yeah,
Jeff
but who?
Levy, who just started. But he just got there.
Yeah, that's a little ridiculous, man. Look, I'm not going to toot my own horn because on Sunshine and Rainbows and, blowing smoke up anybody's ass, but excuse my language there. I know we're trying to cut down on that, but yeah, like having him at 15th is a little ridiculous, especially how he ended the year beating he beat top 10 team, top 25. I mean, and we just explained it on this podcast. What do you have coming back? Who you have a quarterback, the guys on the offensive line, the wide receivers. And, it may be going by like what he's done in the past, coaching wise, till now, which is, I think, is really dumb. You should be going by current events. To have him at 15th right now, I mean, it's a little ridiculous. If you want to have him at 10th, 9th, okay, cool, whatever. I'll vibe with that. To have him at 15th, there's just like, I don't get that. I literally don't get that. That looks like more of like the bias, like just Gator hate or something like that on that list, because it was just ridiculous. I remember talking to Waters about it too. We talked about it in our Discord or his Discord, and he's even like, dude, like, why is he 15th? Like, it makes no sense at all. So I don't buy too much into the list anyway, because it doesn't even really matter, because the results next year
It's
are
fun
going
to
to
argue about.
matter anyway. But it's something, something to talk about, something to put out there in an article. I get all that, but like, man, 15th is just
It
dumb.
feels like he's like the easy kid and dodgeball to just to kind of pick last, and it's like because he's like kind of been down there for a little bit. But look, I get it. 19-19, the time that he's been here. Pittman's 30-31. Pittman hasn't had the recruiting class or the run that Florida has in the last year. They had one good season underneath them, but I look, that's an easy one for me to put him over. Clark Lee at Vanderbilt outside of the big games last year. I mean, what have they really done? He was on the hot seat last year as well too. So again, Hugh Freeze is blasphemy. Absolute blasphemy to me. They have not done anything in Auburn. They have lost massive games. They've looked flat. There's been a lack of culture. The recruiting has been meh. The portal movement's been meh. Like, I do not get it. I don't get it all. Oklahoma, Brent Venables, there hasn't been enough time to put him that high with his first year in the SEC. Probably carry a little weight over, so I'm okay with it. And again, Mark Stoops, I feel like you could put him over Mark Stoops, but just how Mark feels like there's this steady decline happening where you can feel the momentum swinging in this direction. Again, I felt like it was a low blow. I felt like it was a lazy pick. Was more so why, and I get it. We're homers here. I'm not saying the cat should be number one, but it was a very lazy pick in my opinion, and an easy person to kind of throw at the bottom of the list, and I just wasn't having it.
Hey, look, let him pick on Billy, man. Give him that bulletin board material. But yeah, the Vanderbilt. Where was the Vanderbilt coach ranked?
13th.
13th. Yeah, I mean, like, look, they beat Alabama, but a lot of teams beat Alabama last year as well. I mean, Alabama wasn't
Oklahoma
the same Alabama that was. By the way,
sure.
by the way, your boy Kirby lost to Alabama too, and he lost to Notre Dame with no 5 stars at all. But Uncle Lou will like that. But like, yeah, I mean, the list, I think it's dumb. Like, it's whatever. Now, where is Brian Kelly? I know you got the list in front of you. Where's Brian? Third. Okay, cool. So did you look at what he got from the transfer portal? Did you look at
Brian
probably
Kelly
a little
in front of Kalen DeBoer? They have, exactly. Where are you pulling that? What's your reasoning behind that?
Oh, that's what I'm saying. Like, if that's the reasoning, then why is Billy 15th? Because
having him in front of Lane Kiffin, I think is crazy on what they've been able to do. If we're what are we looking at? I mean, having him in front of Lane. DeBoer at least took his previous team to a championship. Like, if we're using past data, like what are we doing here? Look, he didn't have a first good run at the SEC at Alabama, so I could argue that. I think Josh Heupel's done better than Brian Kelly at Tennessee, for being quite honest. I mean, let's call it what it is. So, look, it's a list. It's what these are meant to do in the middle of this time of the year. It's the same list, the quarterback list. Like, it just gives people the reason to get pissed off. Like, you're not going to get it right. I thought about putting lists together, but it's like they're always going to be, they're biased. Like, we have our own reasons to hate and love and do all those good things, but they are fun to argue about. Earlier when Will said he was born in the 70s, I wish he would have said I was born in the 80s. Because then I thought of the Tone Loc song as I was, hey, it's the 80s and I'm down with ladies, but he didn't say it, so I didn't get to plug in. I was pissed.
Well, it was
I
funny
feel
when
like-
you were talking about that too. You're just like, yeah, all the older people talk about our generation. I'm like, yeah, he's talking about me.
Yeah, you're the asshole that always bitches about our generation. And I mean, clearly him too. He was born in the 70s. Well, you were born in the 80s, right?
Yeah, 84.
Yeah, 70s. So he's.
Well, you're born like year 2000.
He's in the 50s. All right. This is what we're doing on this show today. It's unbelievable.
I was shutting down my computer. I was thinking my computer was going to be shut down in the year 2000.
Yeah. Billy is a B- coach. Yeah, look, I think the way that the season ended, the way that it closed out, the way that the recruiting class closed out, the things that he's done in the portal thus far, the coaching changes they've made, like, you got to give the guy some flowers. I mean, we'll see. Wild thing.
Yeah, I mean, look at what he walked into.
Tone Loc, I can burn it down with some Tone Loc, boys.
Hey, look what he walked into. Look what Dan Mullen ended his tenure with. Look at the talent that we brought in at the end of his tenure. Wasn't a lot of great attitudes in that locker room either. Like, dude, the guy really inherited a bunch of trash. Like, and I hate to say that. I'm not trying to call.
I may be wrong in this, but I want to say Billy put more talent into the NFL than, I don't want to say this past year, than including the signees, which is 12. Is that more than Mullen put in his entire tenure?
I'd have to look that up. I know that there was a bunch of wide receivers,
Trask
obviously.
Some big ones. Damian Pierce was one. But I want to say Damian got drafted. Did he get drafted under Billy? No, right? No.
He got drafted under Mullen.
Okay. So there's 5 right there, but that's over a course of 4 years. I'm sure there's some other ones that I'm
where he got drafted. I think it was 3rd round he got drafted. I can recall.
Jervon Dexter, that was, you could argue, is a Mullen one. Anthony Richardson, I would argue, is probably a Billy one.
Yeah, because Richardson didn't even really play.
Yeah.
I mean, he played like what? He started one game.
That might be a bit of might be a bit of a cold take, but I think again it's closer than what people think. But you guys trigger Mark, it's okay.
Yeah, but like as I said, I'm not trying to call kids in particular trash, but the way that you made the program towards the end of your tenure was a little bit trashy. I mean, like, you remember the video of them like posting dried up bacon that was like in the cafeteria?
No.
Yeah, there's a video of when Dan Mullen was still head coach where like a lot of the players were in the cafeteria. They were pulling out pieces of like dried up bacon that was just like sitting there in the cafeteria. Yeah, it was awful.
Vegas.
Yeah,
boys and girls, great show. Listen, if Kurt Napier is having to watch the show, we need to get a foursome together. I'm putting out the pitch. Let's clip it and let's tag these boys. Let's get me, Judd Davis, then the Napier brothers, and let's go 2v2. It's summer. We've got time.
Yeah, we got time. Hey, look, we already know Napier watches the show. So does Kurt. So does everybody else. Might as well just get him on here at this point.
We need to get a foursome. I think that would be an incredible content.
Yeah, so everybody tag
do interviews. We'll just talk, but we'll just have fun. I don't even gotta ask him any interview questions. I'll just talk shit the whole time, Billy.
Yeah, I want to ask him where that "Are You Not Entertained" came from.
No, we're not. No, that's not what we're gonna do.
If he winds up winning an Addy, that's going to be the first thing. Somebody's going to make a shirt.
That's when we're allowed to use it. We can use it at that point. Great show, as always. Best day of the week. Never misses, boys. Never does. May is going to be a busy month for me on a personal level. I have a feeling the content's going to slide down a little bit for the next 30 days for me. I mean, every weekend I have this weekend, which is somewhat open. Then next weekend, I've got a bachelor party and a wedding. The following weekend, I'm going to Disney for 4 days. The following weekend, I'm going on a little bit of a boys' trip to play some golf. And then I'll be back, but at that point, we're in June. So I'll do my best to see you guys. That's all. Maybe if I'm on my
best behavior, maybe you can allow me to put some content on here.
I'm not doing that. No, we can see what we can do. Y'all be good. Hope you guys enjoyed the show tonight at 500 strong between X and YouTube. Appreciate you guys as always hanging out with us over an hour and 20 minutes, having a great time, smashing the like button, dropping your comments. Did I miss any super chats? Nope, we got them all. Thank you as well for the super chats. And Brendan, thank you for your $50 donation, man. I appreciate you. I know you're always yelling.
Yes, thanks, man.
You and Dave got at it in the comment section the other day. That was always fun to see. But y'all be good. I love y'all as always. Till next time, I Swolder. Sheldon. Peace and love, baby.
Peace.